The e-commerce boom has shaken up the industry in all kinds of ways, and all sectors are now eyeing the platform in a bid to boost their business. Now, one such summit that does help retailers and e-commerce companies expand their online business and learn some of the best practices, and also features expert advice from the industry professionals, has been the E-Tailing India Omnitech Summit. To discuss how this helps aid industry growth and the road ahead for e-commerce, today we're being joined by TP Pratap, the co-founder and Chief Marketing Officer, Quicksilver, Mr. Shivanand Pare, Head of E-commerce at Madurai, and Ashish Jalani, the founder and CEO at E-Tailing India. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us today. Ashish, just to kickstart, what have been some of the major themes at the conference this year?
So again, this year I think the biggest conversation revolved around mobility. Because with Myntra going mobile app only, and a lot of others announcing that they want to go mobile app. A lot of conversations revolved around, why these decisions are being taken. Then how is the marketing supposed to happen? Because the marketing will substantially change. And again, what are investors thinking of the space, right? So I think the first and foremost was this conversation. And I think the other then after that was customer service. I think a lot of players wanted to discuss, how do you build customer loyalty? How do you actually service these customers? Because till this point, it was about acquiring customers. But now the conversation is kind of changing, and they're talking about how do we keep these customers. I think that was great. I think those were the two overriding themes around the conference this year.
Sure. Shiva, any takeaways from the event out here as to how critical will e-commerce be for the group going forward? If you can just share your perspective on some of the takeaways from the event, and also what your strategy is when we talk about e-commerce.
So mobility plays a big role. We have seen that over the last 1 year, the mobile traffic is increasing extremely exponentially month on month. At Trendin itself, we are seeing that, now currently 60% of traffic is mobile, plus our transactions has already hit 30 to 40% through mobile. And if I were to look at mobile influenced transactions, it should be anywhere around 70 to 80%. Now, from a Madura perspective, mobile gives a deeper understanding of the consumer. It enables them to understand the consumer better. Second, it also enables them to link the offline and the online much more seamlessly. For example, a mobile app user can be recognized more deeply at the store level if you really do the deeper integrations, right? So from a future perspective, mobile enables Madura's offline stores to leverage the online consumers much, much deeper.
Right, fair enough. Ashish, let's take some of these factors one by one. When you're talking about mobility, for instance, how are companies building towards it? How are they gearing up to capture what is going to be a potential boom on that front?
Sure. So now, when it comes to mobility, for instance, right, which was, again, the hot topic of the day, there's a lot of stuff that companies are looking at. One, they're figuring out why they should be in there. And the answer seems to be pretty simple. India is poised to be, the second largest smartphone user base in the world in the next few years. Over the next few years, when internet users reaches about 500 plus million, 300 million are predicted to be using smartphones. Now, if that's true, then obviously more than 50% of the future users will be using a phone. And as such, companies need to look at mobility seriously. It may not be mobile app first. It may be a mobile website that they start off with, and then move on to an app which is maybe more engaging and probably provides more better insight about the customers. But that's how the companies, the ecosystem, and everybody around are kind of looking at that space.
TV Pratap, why would a user choose a Quicksilver versus going directly through a MobiKwik or other payment wallet, or even for that matter retail side? Because it's been a somewhat of a platform which is still under development. So just to try and understand as to what the USP out here is, how have you been pitching it, how have you been promoting it?
Yeah. the differentiating factor for Woohoo is that we are driving the gifting proposition. So through gift cards, because the gift and the fact of the matter is that the Woohoo platform rides on what is the Quicksilver gift card technology platform, which is used by more than 100 leading brands in India and e-commerce portals in India. So that is being leveraged, and these are platforms which are integrated real time into the Woohoo backend. So as a consumer, say I want to gift my brother staying in Bombay, I forgot it was his birthday and I've got to send it out to him. So I could either come on to my woohoo.in e-commerce site, or I send it to him through my Woohoo app. I gift him any Woohoo gift card experience, say of any amount, say from a 500 rupees, say to even a 10,000 rupee Woohoo gift card on the mobile, and so the recipient gets it on the mobile, and that can be used across a physical store. This is arguably the first time that a mobile phone could be used in India at a physical store across 400 cities.
Okay, so that's an example of a company that's really going big on mobile. Ashish, however, the space continues to evolve so fast, and I'm going to get Pratap in on that as well in a moment, because they've also constantly been trying to tap into multi-channels. How do you, and from what you gather from the investors that you're speaking to, the companies that you're meeting, how do you identify opportunities? How do you look at a company and say this one has the potential to really keep up and evolve with the constant change that we're seeing?
So again, the space is evolving, hour by hour. I can't even say day by day, right? It's evolving hour by hour. And I think right now the differentiator that's being looked at is either a service. I think services are what is differentiating one player from the other. It's no more a product selection, because everybody seems to have thousands of sellers. Everybody's able to get a lot of selection. But when it comes to the services that are provided to the end consumer, that's what differentiates one to the other. For instance, there's a startup that I met today that are looking at the travel space, for instance. Now, everybody says travel is already crowded, right? But the kinds of services they're looking at, and unfortunately I can't talk about exactly what services they're looking to offer, but the kinds of value-add services they will offer, I think they will have a huge opportunity in the travel space itself, because none of the current players are giving those services to the travelers. So again, I think the differentiator mainly now is what services do you offer to your end consumer. It's no more a product only.
Fair enough. Shiva, are you finding consumers making an easy switch with multi-models, with what wins, or with integration? Does it boost numbers? Are we seeing that kind of on-ground activity? Are we seeing that really reflect? Just to get a sense as to how you're reading these activities here.
So I'll tell you, at a fundamental level, consumer is either online or offline, depending on the category in which he's playing. For example, your transaction on travel is purely online, right? While you don't tend to go offline and try to do any research or any transaction as far as travel is concerned, right? But at the same time, automobile as a category, if you look at, all purchase so far is offline, but complete research is online, right? Your automobile purchase consumer journey, if you look at, the complete research is online. When you look at really buying, then you take the trials. That's offline, right? Fashion, which is the largest play for Madura, is somewhere in between. It has not gone completely online as a category, right? But we may start seeing that, essentials could go completely online. In the fashion lifestyle categories, essentials could go completely online. Your premium end, which could be your suits, blazer, or occasion-led purchase, could be only offline, where the research could happen online. But end purchase, because it's slightly involved purchase, that might happen in the offline space, in the offline store, right? Now, Now there is a middle level category, which is your shirts, trousers, t-shirts and all, right? So your casual is on the online side, which is the consumers are tilting towards online. And once they become online, normally we have seen that, internet has shown us that, consumers, once they latch on to the online space, they end up taking their transaction online.
So a lot of big groups now, in fact, moving to an omni-channel or multi-channel method of retail. Even just today we had Shoppers Stop talking about tying up with Snapdeal. We're going to take a break and we're going to continue to discuss some of these trends with our guests in just a moment. All right, we're discussing trends from the E-Tailing India Omnitech Summit and how it's helping the industry move forward. We're in conversation with Mr. Pratap of Quicksilver, Mr. Shivanandan from Madura, and Ashish Jalani of E-Tailing India. Mr. Pratap, let me come back to you. Give us a sense of the kind of growth that you're seeing, the kind of response you've had at the company as well, just to get an idea of the kind of potential we're really seeing in the space and particularly on the mobile front.
Yes, the traction and the growth rates have been absolutely in line with what we had, and the consumer adoption and the category adoption across segments, be it corporates, be it individual consumers, be it institutions, have all seen a fantastic adoption of the gift card category over the last 4 years, where the category has clocked a 300% year-on-year growth on the Quicksilver gift card platform. And today we clock more than 5 million transactions a month of gift cards being transacted by consumers today. And the month gone by, July itself, was a fantastic month where we had a 400% growth in the July month over the previous period. And so we are fairly comfortable with the performance at each of these, and the metrics itself, where you see the gifting industry through gift cards is slated to grow from over 3,000 crore annualized currently to about 10,000 crores over the next 3 years. And it's initiatives like these that we believe would be the real drivers of this particular growth.
Shiva, interestingly, far more, the online segment itself is becoming pretty crowded as well. You've got, Birlas, Bianis also looking to, up their ante is what we're seeing. How does the strategy keep evolving? Because, we see as to how the on-ground action, it's easy to differentiate in terms of products, in terms of the way the strategy plays out. But online, in a space that is getting crowded, where, USP is also difficult to actually, more or less differentiate. What's been your strategy in that sense?
We have moved to an economy, especially mobile is actually firing that, wherein the consumers are saying it's on-demand service. It's online acquisition of the consumer, offline fulfillment of the service. What you're looking at, Uberization, what they call, right? Now that's going to happen in retail. At that point in time, probably we may have to relook at the way we look at omnichannel, or the way it is defined at this point in time. So it's about online acquisition of the consumers and trying to fulfill the consumer demand when they want it, right?
Right, fair enough. Ashish, let's talk valuation, because no conversation is complete without that. So just before we wrap up, money is coming into the space, but do you feel things are on track, or are companies finding it tough to keep cash burn at a reasonable rate? Do you see any need for course correction in the near future? Because right now, of course, we've got all kinds of companies at various stages of development, but just to get a sense of really where we're headed.
So, I look at it a couple of ways. One, the money, yes, it's coming in. The reason is very simple, first of all. The market is hardly at 15 billion, right? And we're saying that it's estimated to go up to 100 billion. And if we look at the US, which sits at 252 billion plus, we should be there in 5, 6, 10 years, whatever that time period is. So the money is needed for our players to get there, one. Now, as far as a company is concerned, I think the burn that we're talking about was necessary, and it continues to be necessary in some cases. Previously, it was necessary because, they were trying to build a market that didn't exist. Okay, we're trying to take a country that believes in buying from a neighborhood store to somebody that buys from a retailer online without ever seeing the person or the product itself, right? So that needed that cash burn. Now, continuing forward, we're still only 1% of total population transacts anything online. Now, if we want to increase that, that cash burn has to continue because they have to be educated, they have to be trained, they have to be told, they have to believe in these ventures. And the way that is done is a lot of times advertisements, right? When money is spent on TV, they're doing sometimes not for sales, but to build credibility and a brand positioning for their brand. So, we have to look at that cash burn in multiple ways. You can't simply just say that the cash burn is just to acquire customers. A lot of times that is more for the long term than it is for the short term.
All right, gentlemen, we'll have to leave it there. Thanks so much for joining us. And it looks like the mobile space is one that's going to get very exciting as we move forward. Most of these new companies now going mobile, Priyank. And today, of course, we had Bharti launching 4G, so it's set to get even more exciting.
All right, the setup clearly is there in favor of the entire sector and for the e-commerce space to actually take full benefit of that. On that note, we'll wrap up this edition of Countdown. Stay tuned. Newsroom coming up next after the short break.